We've got one more for you tonight as we head up to Platinum Division. It's Dampsquib versus Lazybear.
Yeah, and this is kind of a similar vibe to last time, where Lazybear has been around for forever and has taken a pretty long break recently, but is getting right back into it, coming into Platinum. Dampsquib has been around for a good while himself, though, at this point, so it's not quite the same as like Bryce. I think been around like a year, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas Dampsquib's like 3 years. It's like this is not a new player that we have going up against Lazybear. Lazybear just happens to be one of the real old veterans who was the winner of SCL8 back in the day. Has had some very impressive results in the past. So, kind of a lot to live up to. But it does depend on, well, how much does Lazybear remember, I guess.
This is a game whose meta is constantly advancing. It's not always a fast advancement, but there is always new stuff being discovered, always new morsels being spread around the competitive community. It's possible that if Lazybear hasn't been keeping up, that they may have lost some of their dominance just by being a little bit behind the information game. But you also, having been as good as Lazybear was, I suspect it's only a matter of time until they're properly back in form.
Yeah, and this is a week 5 cast here, Tobo, so Lazybear's definitely had some time. I would generally say I consider Lazybear to be a mild favorite here, but Dampsquib has been putting up, some decent results here and there. So it's not like Dampsquib's any slouch in this Platinum division, so it should be a very interesting match. Let's get into that draft. Lazybear is the other person that is on my "You've Made Me Sad" list by immediately banning Ballroom. I thought you liked Ballroom, Lazy. How dare you? And then Dampsquib really just adding on to hurting my heart by banning Balcony. It's not really one that gets picked very often anyway, but I like that venue. I don't get to see it very often. Then Lazybear restricting Veranda and Dampsquib opting to not restrict anything. And of course, since this is Platinum Plus has the 16-game draft where we just get 3 picks and then multiplying a venue rather than just the double coming first immediately. So Lazybear picking High Rise, Gallery, and Tayen. Dampsquib picking Veranda, Redwoods, and Library. Lazybear multiplying High Rise and Dampsquib multiplying Redwoods here. Multiplying High Rise and Redwoods, Lazybear and Dampsquib. So I'm trying to, kind of decide what I feel about this draft, because I feel like both players have leaned into more spy-sided venues, but they're like, with Dampsquib with like the Redwoods in particular, but also picked up Veranda and Library, and Lazybear does have the Gallery in with that High Rise and Tayen. So like definitely one of those like kind of mixes between quite spy-sided relative to the rest of the pool versus these ones are the sniper ones,
Yeah. To me, what this feels like is Lazybear leaning into the slightly more spy-favored, slightly more chaotic venues other than Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And Dampsquib having one venue that they feel comfortable on, that they feel like they could do a lot of damage on, and trying to play it as safe as possible on the other 2.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good reading of this draft, and it does make sense, especially for Lazybear's Spy, which has historically been like a bit more on the framey side of things, likes to watch the party and find ways to misdirect the sniper's attention using other guests, very particularly, and it's always been quite good at that. So it does make sense on especially High Rise and Tayen to be doing that. On Gallery, it can work out, but a bit more straightforward in terms of you just need to do missions to win Spy on that one a lot of the time.
We're going to be opening the festivities on High Rise for this match. Dampsquib is on the Spy side first versus Lazybear's Sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We could have maybe gone for a Chaos Bug there if we took AI control, control from the AI immediately, but instead we go in for this.
That large man is fast.
He is fast. Like, Taft is the fastest character in the game, and that's actually kind of a downside, kind of an upside with Taft as an ambassador. It does make it harder to do like double walking bugs with Taft unless you're a fast character yourself, which Queen's not slow, but Queen is not anywhere near fast as far as walking speed goes. So that is something to look at. Also, I will note high rise 3 of 6, you have to have one of swap or transfer on, and in this instance, it is the swap, and we do have Purloin over Fingerprint. That tends to be the other big option you have of do you take Purloin or Fingerprint. It is interesting because we do go in for what would have been a very obvious fingerprintable book had Fingerprint been on, but without the mission on, it's just innocent.
So 34% off the first flirt before we headed off to the bookcase. And now that we're back from the bookcase, we are in a terrible position to try to get more. We do hit a green test off the next flirt to bring us up to 61%, but
still will need one more green though.
Yeah, that is true. If we get to a reasonable distance, we can get it done in one more green.
Yeah, but a white test will never do it, unfortunately.
Set up for a possible reverse drive-by situation if the ambassador heads out in the right direction, but
not anymore.
Currently not being forced away by personal space, so that's something.
Yeah, we do go
the contact.
Relatively early contact. A couple of loads are going to come from that, from the person that's out of conversation and the person that is being taking a drink at the time. But otherwise, everyone else gets a full real contact. The problem is that we don't, and that may necessitate us doing a second contact later on in this game, which would be a little bit annoying.
And with only 1 minute and 10 left to play, we do really badly need to hit this flirt.
Really watching us going into the statue and putting like
does
that laser,
not hit the flirt, like very doesn't hit the flirt. That
and
was
then
a red
doesn't
test.
finish, doesn't gulp. So we sip twice at the statue.
Oh no!
Oh no! I don't like how this is going for Dampsquib being the only highlight in this party after, and then having that happen.
Might get a bug on the way out, but this is really not looking good. We have
There's no way we get this bug. Lazybear's gonna be watching for it so closely. Our arm was so far inside the ambassador there. I'm wondering if we just get shot for that.
Yeah. That was a rough opening spy game from Dampsquib.
Yeah, I think that Lazybear has enough visual information to say that we have not bugged, but it's very close. And if Lazybear is not, 100% sure, and we're the only highlight, and we are we are very well could have finished missions in that moment, I think this is a perfectly reasonable shot to take from Lazybear's side of things. And yeah, as you said, it was a little bit rough from Dampsquib to start us off.
Lazybear on the spy side next. Let's see what they're able to do from the spy side of High Rise in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
All right, instantly into our ST. We could go for a cheese flirt here even, but we decide not to. Unfortunately, we did not hit that green test, but an early white test, 34%, nice and close, never a bad thing. Actually, we don't full cheese it, but we do leave this conversation pretty quickly.
Yeah. And this is a venue where you can absolutely afford to take your time. There's a lot of room to work with the clock on this one because we need to get those 3 missions. Into the green bookcase we go, again, with both transfer and fingerprint off. So
yeah, I was going to say, it is the same mission setup.
A loss of heat pad.
Yeah, exact same mission setup as last time, as you have just noted. Looks like, both players. I think this might be the most popular of the 4 kind of main possibilities that you have. This might be the most popular. We go in, we're swapping.
It's a swap.
Wait, it's a green swap. I thought we might put it immediately down because we were, looking to get away with this without being seen. But instead, we go for that one inspect. I'm so curious. Do we go in for a contact? We go in for finishing up the inspect? I'm really not sure what's happening here. This is so early to not just be trying to finish.
Back out to
we're gonna look at this.
Very interesting. Here's the pickup. Here's the swap.
Yeah, that fade was on screen.
Yeah, Dampsquib got the perfect look at that fade. Knew exactly what was going on and just swung around to take the shot. Nothing to do.
Yeah,
there.
I'm really, from Lazybear's side of things, I really kind of expected when we saw that immediate green swap, I thought this was just gonna be put right back down and try to like get away with a cheese, and like potentially win the game that way. It feels like a very Lazybear thing to try to do. But in this case, we just get seen AI just immediately runs over there, and it's very clear what's going on. And Dampsquib so ready to watch for that swap, especially when the ambassador's just completely safe.
So, slightly rough spy games from both players to start things off. We've got 2 more games of High Rise to play. Dampsquib back under the gun first in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and I have to wonder if that was like an action priority from Lazybear. We're so our arms deep in there, and oh no, Dampsquib, no.
I really did not think he was going to try that.
Yeah, it's usually not the thing you should be trying to do when the laser is directly on your back. The shot just like immediately comes off. It's like the bug animation isn't even finished here before the shot has been taken. Of course, we do get the bug technically off because of the slight delay in processing time on the spy side, but oh boy, that may not have been.
I mean, the arm wasn't visible. I'll give him that.
Unfortunately, standing bugs do come with a lean. If we were going to try to get away with that, I think that it had to be a twitch bug. And even then, that probably gets shot with how closely Lazybear was watching for it.
One more game of High Rise. Lazybear on the spy versus Dampsquib sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I assume we're going to be going in right next to ST again.
Target for a quick 51% on the flirt.
Yeah. Pretty easy here. Nice and clean.
Ambassador now has the double agent in their personal space, so they should step out soon. I don't think Lazybear's in a position to do anything with it, but the briefcase is right there.
That is true, and fingerprints are off.
Right. I forget that happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, because we have seen, like, actually in the past couple games of High Rise, the Ambassador's been putting fingerprints down pretty regularly, which makes you feel like a little bit you might want those fingerprints on, but the Purloin is a powerful mission, especially if you just need to get something done quickly. And it can be, like, on a venue like this, very easy to, like, get a frame in. White contact here from Lazybear, and then we pick up the briefcase, and we're trying. I think we might be trying to get a low light, saying, "Oh, we were picking up briefcase during this contact." It totally wasn't us, but I don't think that was really perceived from Dampsquib one way or the other.
Yeah, double agent steps just as the contact comes off, so
I didn't notice that.
Actually take no missions complete at the moment. We aren't able to get up to 85% on the flirt a little while ago, but that's a tough start from Lazybear.
Yeah, and it's just really unfortunate with the white contact in as well. If that had been a green contact, you have to imagine that would not have been the issue. RST does step into statues, which might provide some sort of opportunity. We can maybe try to like frame her for a green swap or something, because that statue is like a little bit easier to watch, so you don't often expect swaps there as much, and so you might not be watching the fade if you're Dampsquib, and potentially could try to make that framework, especially given the situation here where the double agent is not in conversation. We don't have that contact because of the split earlier. It's gonna be really hard to just win the game from here, I think, if you're Lazybear with missions. So I would not be surprised to see them stepping in for the swap.
To go like for the flirt at painting first, and now that the double agent has finally stepped into conversation,
real contact this time. We might go for the contact Purloin play, but this is going to be so rough. Look at how many people are out of this conversation. I think we might have been the only non-low light left in conversation, because Wheels definitely could have been taking a low light on, even though that's not what ended up happening. This is a disaster for Lazybear. We go for the bug, though!
He takes the bug. It wasn't clean. The shot comes off. I like the attempt, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, it is definitely visible. I liked the attempt. I like the try here from Lazybear because just making it so quickly after the ambassador comes to be near us makes it just a little bit harder for that sniper to be ready to watch for it. But the arm does extend towards us. We're one of the only 2 people in the venue that could possibly be doing missions that is not a low light. And realistically, I'm pretty sure we're the only one that could have possibly been in for both contacts at that point.
Yeah.
It was brutal for Lazybear there, but a valiant effort to make it to the end.
So that is a very clear sniper sweep on the first venue. It's 2-2 heading into Veranda, which is not any more likely to have any spy wins. Dampsquib on that side of things first. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mean, on the other hand, though, Veranda's a lot, right? Sniper win rates on Veranda are pretty high because the spy has to do so much, and the sniper only really has to catch 1 or 2 things if they want to be able to shoot sometimes. So that's why sniper win rates are so high on Veranda. But it is a big venue with a lot going on, and it does open you up to potential sniper mistakes that just sometimes you might miss shoot or you just miss everything going on that the spy has done. And so I wouldn't say that the spy win is impossible here. But yeah, it is one of the spaces where after seeing a sniper party on Veranda, on high rise, a sniper party on Veranda seems relatively likely, but we have games to play about it.
Takes a early fingerprint off of a briefcase, but hasn't been able to find any other progress as of yet, and just sort of winds up doing a little tour of the venue and then back where they started, just for the seduction target to join in and say hi. So we're able to get a green test off of that for 43%. So not completely empty-handed.
Alrighty.
Stepping out towards the red bookcase. Lazybear not really guarding this. Might even be able to step away from the red bookcase clean if they did it early enough, but by the time he does leave the bookcase, he is seen exiting the vicinity. So with 3 minutes and 5 left to play,
seen though not always the same as perceived. If you catch my difference there, Tobo.
Back into conversation we go with the seduction target. This should bring us up to at least close to done. It is 77% off of the white test.
You're feeling okay about flirt from here on out. You only need the 1. It's a little bit of a nag on your pacing from here on out, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not like you have 61% and you have to worry about a green flirt. You can just get close, do a white test. You don't even have to get that close, and you should be okay. Dampsquib, I am wondering if this is going to go back into green later on. It wouldn't surprise me terribly much, because when we took it out, even though, again, we were on screen taking it out of red, it was something that happened when a lot of guests were in the area, and there were a lot of other things to potentially be paying attention to.
Yeah. The trouble is that this is a 5-mission venue. We don't have any completions yet, and we have 2 minutes to play. So we might just have to do something.
Ooh, Damp with the ST split there. A little bit of a camera shake.
Very sad. That was not a red test. That was just the ST deciding they didn't want to be here anymore, which is very sad.
Yeah. Always a very sad time.
This is a hard animation transfer. A hard book transfer, not an animation transfer. Just putting it back in a different bookcase than it came from. So that's the first mission done. 4 to go with 1 minute and 30.
With 1:30 on the clock is the problem, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. The time is not Dampsquib's friend at the moment. Mind you, they do still only have 1 flirt and 1 fingerprint to find, so that would be helpful. But this is not where we're going to find
I don't think
any
statues is going to be fast enough is the problem with how much we have to do. We need to, as I said, that snag from earlier with the 1 more flirt, that I didn't think that would be a big problem with our pacing, but with only a minute left on the clock, that's probably going to be more of an issue than it otherwise would be. We go in, we're going to have to take this contact pretty quickly if we want to complete it. And again, we do have the 1 fingerprint from earlier, but We feel very spy-like. I think we're really in Lazybear's like head right now as a big suspect, despite the fact that from Lazybear's perspective, we've only been to one set of statues and went to contact, but we're in the only real conversation. We're moving again very quickly here. This is the kind of thing that Lazybear absolutely cares about.
That's a bug on the way
a
through.
very nice bug.
That was a good bug. It was, the path was horrendous, but we
have
were
to go for
not
this
being
briefcase,
looked
though.
at for that path. That's the
We
bug
have to go.
done. That's the
Okay,
flirt
briefcase.
done. We've
We have
got
to go to
one
statue.
more mission to go in 15 seconds to get it. It's gotta be statues.
There's gonna be overtime. This is. Oh, I think we're gonna lose this to overtime.
5 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, this is brutal. There's gonna be 8 seconds of overtime, and we're the only one in this game. We're so spy-like, but the overtime counter comes down, and the shot comes down from someone else.
Shot! Dampsquib makes it happen from the spy side somehow.
Wow, that was like, this looked bad going into the last minute of this game. At 60 seconds left, we had one mission done, Tobo, and it felt like we were being very suspiciously and very spy-like from the just from the sniper view, and that is something that Lazybear does pay a lot of attention to. Lazybear, historically a pretty big behavioral sniper in the realm of these things, so it seems like something that Lazybear would care a lot about. But just this beautiful bug, the redirect off of, I think pretending to have redirected off of, like, realistically, we don't have anything to redirect off of. Let me be clear. But
yeah,
if Lazybear is not sure about that, then this redirect looks totally fine. It looks totally totally AI-like in terms of the actual movements going on. There just isn't anything to cause it. And we just execute a really just genuinely beautiful wrong arm bug across here, finish up our flirt, find ourselves in statues right at the last second. And yeah, it looks spy-like, but the fact is we have bug and transfer clean. That's so hard to shoot for, even when you hear the overtime go. I thought we might die to overtime, but the bug and transfer being clean is just enough.
Yeah. Let me tell you, when you have a really exposed bug like that, and the arm that the sniper can see that should be the one bugging is clearly not bugging, like, that's powerful stuff, and it's absolutely worked out for Dampsquib. They find the first spy win on Veranda. It's 3-2 as they step into the sniper side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah,
bugs, man, that stuff is sweet.
Yeah, that was a really nicely executed one as well, because usually, like, a lot of the time you'll see spies have to take a very severe angle towards the ambassador in terms of like how much they are doing to make sure that the wrong arm is actually happening compared to the arm that would be facing the sniper. But that was executed in a way where the angle was not nearly as severe as you might usually see, which just makes it all the more clean. Because if that depth if that depth isn't there, it's so much easier to believe it's not a wrong arm bug, right? And it was on screen a little bit. Lazybear did miss that, but there's so many things to be watching. It was so well executed that we were just able to get away with it. As for the Lazybear side of things, nothing at all yet, because our SD has not settled anywhere. We are willing to flirt with them.
Yeah, this has been not the start to this game that Lazybear has been looking for. He is going to step into the infamous time add window, hopefully not to add time.
Well, I mean, Dampsquib is on the full other side of the venue right now.
That's true. But that's the kind of thing where if you see that a time ad has happened and nobody was at window, you can just lowlight everybody on that entire side of the venue. But no time ad actually occurred. Seduction target is not being friendly and has picked up a briefcase rather than being in conversation in a flirtable position. So
going for a contact here. It might have been an attempt at a green contact into bug while lights are being taken for Lazybear. Unfortunately, with the white contact, that means that it just leaves it long enough that the ambassador is, oh, we could just bug here with this angle. We go for it. I think it's clean.
It is. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, just like the movement from Dampsquib's laser there over to the left side. I think Lazybear very nicely understanding. Oh, if Dampsquib's taking this left angle, that means my arm is actually going to be a lot less visible. And then does transition from standing to walking by leaving the conversation to reduce the impact of that lean of that potential like snapback to the center. And it works out really, really well. I don't think Dampsquib's onto it.
Yeah, that was a beautifully executed bug. So 2 missions down, bug done, contact done, 34% on the flirt. Unfortunately, bug and contact are the fast missions. Other than, like, doing some purloin shenaniganry or swapping a statue.
Yeah, and I think Lazybear understands this because we saw that first flirt come in, and we left pretty quickly after this to go to those statues, right? Lazybear, veteran player, has been very very good. Understands, looking at the clock, says I cannot just stand here and flirt. I gotta be moving. And we come back to our ST, especially after that white test. If we're gonna have to come back 2 more times, we might as well get something done in between and reset that timer.
Yeah.
Oh no, though.
Oh dear. Well, he didn't go far at least.
Yeah, very well could just chase, and we will be doing that. It looks like it. It definitely sucks to do as the spy because you feel a lot more spy-like when it happens like that. But most people are not watching too closely for something like Flirt on Veranda, so it's not that big of a deal. A couple lowlights come off, and I'm not actually sure why. Notably, earlier we did not get all that many lowlights for the contact. Actually, I will say on Dampsquib's side.
Green test on the second flirt brings up to 85%. Out to the front statues we go.
I am worried about this. Oh, fingerprintable statue, though. That could be our way to victory here. We're just going to do a soft tail plus bug game.
So, 45 seconds to play. We have a print. One more flirt is going to finish that up, but we need to find another print somewhere. There is a briefcase here.
There is a printable statue as well that Lazybear definitely did see. It would look a little suspicious to go into another printable statue, but I think, we are known to have gone to 2 sets of statues already, so it's not like that would also be finishing inspecs here.
Indeed.
It would just be that print. Is this printable as well? Does Lazybear know this? I haven't kept track. This might be printable.
It's just
no, it's a swap. It's a swap.
It's a green swap.
I'm really confused about this. I think we should have gone in for the printable statue. I feel like that's less suspicious than what's happening right now. We are very clearly the main suspect. We're bouncing off of it. We're going back. We're trying to delay it. There's gonna be overtime regardless. We're trying to. Oh, this one's the fingerprintable one.
Yeah, he just missed which one was printable.
Oh, that's brutal. I mean, I think when we go back to the actual printable one, Dampsquib is like kind of takes a shot really even before overtime triggers. And so we were very clearly the highest suspect in the game for our activities near the end of the game. It's really hard to get these like soft tail wins when you're doing all your soft tails at 1:30 to 0 seconds. Just because of how that works in the sniper's mind. It feels like, oh yeah, Spy needs to go get missions. Spy is going to go do the soft tails, right? Like, it's pretty spy-like in the way of these things, but that does mean that Dampsquib is able to, hold that sniper serve and take a lead over Lazybear 5-3, I believe. If that or no, 4-2, my mistake. So far in this set.
4-2. The current scoreline is Dampsquib steps into the spy side of gallery with a cushion versus Lazybear's sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and it must feel very nice to have that advantage over Lazybear early on in the set. Someone who is well known for being very strong. Like, this is what I mean by Dampsquib is absolutely no slouch. Dampsquib on a good day can really put up a fight with pretty much anyone. It's sometimes just that consistency that fails players at this level, right? There are a lot of players at around Dampsquib's skill level where it's like they can put up a fight against anyone if they're having a good day. Sometimes, though, you just don't have a good day. And Dampsquib right now is having a good day.
Absolutely. 34% flirt at the big yellow painting on the right side of the gallery. Out to the front for a second flirt, this one green, to bring us up to 85%.
Yeah, and that is very nice to have on Gallery in particular. Gallery kind of infamous for having issues with flirting if you leave it too long. It's one of the things that new players struggle with the most on Gallery in particular. So having just most of the flirt done at this point already is going to be very nice.
Into the statues we go for a pair of inspects. Double Agent used to be in that back conversation when we went to the statues. I thought that was where we'd be going next, but the Double Agent has since bailed, so back out to the front we go, likely setting up for the last flirt.
Yeah.
No, back inside we go. Minute and 25
Interesting.
to play.
I do find that, I mean, maybe we just thought that the outside conversation was a little too full to step into, and we decide, okay, let's go do something else. It feels kind of bad to try to force ourselves into this conversation. It does waste a little bit of time, but, something that, really strong spies are able to do is cut their losses, right?
Yeah.
Not commit to a plan so hard that it actually ends up being the wrong decision, even though it might have been, like, a good plan earlier on in the game. This contact coming off.
That's a lot of lowlights.
It really is, and especially when you got several highlights in there, you got Smallman in there, that can be a problem. And look at this, Lazybear taking the lowlights on the outside on the fake contact. A risky play, perhaps, but something that is really working out when this party is down to what? Six guests?
Party gone.
Yeah, 6 guests remain as non-lowlights here for Lazybear. That is brutal for Dampsquib, and it feels like that's just not something that's going to be overcome.
That's a huge reaction from the sniper on that contact.
Just one of the only people who is still in this party, though, just has gone statue to statue. This could be Dampsquib's way back into this game if Duke comes over nearby. We do have more control over this character as our ST, who, we haven't finished flirt with them. We could try to go for a red flirt, make them act a little erratically in the end game, could potentially try to frame them for a purloin as we have just finished up our drink, if we can find a way to give Duke a reject or make it so that Duke is going to be offered to next after us. Things like that are absolutely possibilities for what we can do. And it helps that, again, Duke being our ST, guaranteed to be a suspect. Purloin coming off. It's going to be a white test, though.
Purloin. I think you got a good look at that guest list fade. The shot comes off. And from a huge reaction to the contact being able to narrow his focus substantially, that's just a good find and a good shot from Lazybear.
Yeah, it feels like that contact's, like, I understand that you got to get contact at some point, but man, that was just a lot of lowlights. And then, having that double whammy of Lazybear deciding to take those lowlights on the outside conversation for fake contact, so brutal for Dampsquib. And that does bring Lazybear into the spy side of things to potentially even things up.
He's got to get a win from the spy side if he's going to do that versus Dampsquib Sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We do a pretty quick process. It's gonna be a really fast purloin. It is. It's a green purloin. I don't know if we were seen being offered to there. That was very fast. Dampsquib's laser was very low, highlighting people at statues. And there even is someone else who's kind of doing the same play that rejected after that. And Toby's bouncing around. Toby's near the front of the venue. That means that this is going to take so much longer. Another reject.
Not only that, but there was someone right next to us as we rejected that drink that could very easily have been the one who did it, even if we were seen. It's still
We're going into statues. We're going to statues from the outside. We're saying, I could not have possibly done this purloin that's about to come off here at some point. Here it goes, finally being taken, and very clearly gone list from the sniper view. Wow, so clearly gone, in fact, that I think Dampsquib got the fade, knew it was green fade.
Yeah, that was a very long reject chain. I don't think he's going to be able to get much off of this. He has gotten a low light or two, but
I am going to argue in this moment, Tobo, that being a highlight, weirdly enough, might be a good thing in the long term, because that highlight was for going to statues. And that means, when Dampsquib is trying to very methodically sort through what happened about this purloin, because very clearly wasn't entirely on it, is going to say, okay, well, Irish highlight for statues, I don't think she was ever able, maybe like might snag us a low light later on in this game.
44% on a mid-range green flirt in the back conversation here. But getting that purloin done so cleanly so early is so big for Lazybear.
Yeah, this is a nice spot to be in. Although we haven't found that low light, I think Dampsquib's being very, very careful about this.
As he should be. It's very easy to panic as Sniper in a situation like this and take some ill-advised lowlights. Sometimes they work out, but just as often they'll be something you wind up regretting. Second timer flirt comes off to bring us up to 88. Any flirt will finish us off at that point. Minute and 30 to play. One visit to the statue, one flirt, and a contact is all we need to get this done.
Yeah, but that's still, like, context outside. We have one more flirt to do, as you just mentioned. We actually ignore the briefcase that's near our feet a little bit there, which is something that could have been caught by Dampsquib, but I don't think was.
Into the front statues we go, being fairly obvious. Nice and exposed, one cycle, and we're out. That's the insp done with under a minute to play as we step into conversation with the double agent.
Yeah, and I really wish we had flirt done already in this particular configuration because it just gives so much time. But we go for the split actually. So many lowlights, but we only need the one more flirt. And again, this is why I would have really preferred if we already had it.
Lots of lowlights indeed, but
we could get shot for one more talk.
We did not get credit for the split. We do have the laser hovering over us. There's the talk. It doesn't look like that's what Dampsquib was waiting for. 3 seconds on the countdown. No reaction from Dampsquib, and Lazybear fights back from the spy side and ties things up at 4.
Yeah, very nicely played from Lazybear. Just really all on the back of that green purloin that during Time of Chaos, really well timed. Dampsquib, to Dampsquib's credit, right? Was very cautious about a purloin. They seem to understand, oh, I don't really know where this came from. Because Lazybear did try to indicate, hey, I couldn't have done this. I was outside, then I was at statues, right? Like, tried to be very far away from the scene of the crime, as it were. But Dampsquib did not fall for that bait, and so did have some chance going into the late game to find this shot, especially after that contact, letting off a lot of lowlights. But it just wasn't enough, unfortunately, from that side of things. Now we are going to be stepping into Redwoods, which I believe is our another one of our multiplied picks here from Dampsquib in particular.
Let's get this show on the road. Dampsquib on the spy side first versus Lazybear's Sniper in Redwoods. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I know this is Dampsquib's double, or multiply rather, and so you would expect Squib to be relatively experienced, relatively confident on a venue like this. It does feel like one of those venues that plays a little bit more into Lazybear's spy style with that kind of framing. You have you have a lot of mission density, so suspects don't have to go. It's much easier for suspects to pick up a lot of missions all at once just by pathing to one particular path, right? And you have the ability to delegate, which means you have more control over who you're trying to frame. So with that intentionality of Lazybear's spy, it does feel like something that Lazy's going to be good at. But again, I also see Redwoods though as one of those venues that, like, if you're rusty, Redwoods is hard when you're rusty. So like that might be the other side of this coin.
These trees are jerks. Dampsquib did open things up at the bar this game to pick up 34% on the flirt. And a delegate. That delegate has since expired. We are in conversation with the double agent, but he opts not to take it, instead heading inside to pick up a mid-range flirt in this center conversation. He hits a white test on it to go up to 61%, so it's going to have to be a green on the third if we want to finish it in 3.
Yeah, unfortunate. We've seen that 61% a couple times this set from Dampsquib, and that's always just a little annoying, isn't it? Could go for a fake contact here. A lot of people are in conversation, and it would give a lot of people credit. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be us, even though the sniper would see us as getting credit. We do go for a briefcase, and we path back into the conversation to reset our flirt, though.
We do indeed. We do lose the briefcase race, which is probably not a big deal, but it is notable. Minute and 30 left to play. We're starting to get behind the clock a little bit as far as progress is concerned, but we do get the flirt done.
I am curious about the fact that General just went back to red with a book that had been taken from it earlier, and only just now caught the highlight for having been to statues, which means that there's a decent chance Lazybear could be seeing this as a potential microfilm from General, I think, and see them as a pretty big suspect. And if a contact were to come off sometime soon here, I think might even find a shot on the General, but that is being delayed. Dampsquib, of course, not in conversation to be able to make that happen, and the double agent is out of conversation themselves anyways, and now going for a briefcase. The fact that this has been waited for so long hurts a little bit. I want to see how much Dampsquib is paying attention to this party. Obviously, can't see how the highlights have developed, so can't have that same knowledge about General as we do. But if we go and delegate to someone, I would like it to be General. Double agent now actual conversation.
Bug attempt into conversation, but hit the button a little bit late, so the bug does not come off.
Contact.
Did get a print of the blue bookcase, but I don't think there's any time to get any more out of it. 10 seconds to play. I just don't think it's going to happen. There's the delegate send.
There's no way to get to mission 1 count. I think we're going to have to go for a crash bug here.
Yeah,
that's what's happening. We're low lit. We're low lit during mission 1 pending as we hit the bug. Depend it. Oh my god!
We got low lit as we bugged! I've never seen that in my life! There's the pending, there's the shot! And Dampsquib with one of the most unlikely spy victories I have ever seen.
That's crazy. Like, Dampsquib, like, we are literally, as the light comes off, our bugging arm is very clearly visible to the sniper, but Lazybear wasn't looking for that, was just putting the laser on us to do a low light. Oh my goodness, that feels like it could have been a disaster. But in the end, we barely get into the clock hang here. It's a good heads-up play from Dampsquib to be able to be like, okay, I can't find one more print to get into the clock hang, but I do have a purloin pending. If I get one more mission, I can at least attempt here. And attempting was all that it took. Because if we had let that time out, Tobo, that would have been a travesty. 0.3 seconds left on that before the game would have just ended in a timeout.
On to the next. Lazybear on the spy side versus Dampsquib's sniper. It's going to be hard to come back from that one mentally, I think. Let's see if he's able to do it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, it is Redwoods. It is something where spies have a lot of agency, of course, and I did mention how I feel like it might be in Lazybear's wheelhouse in terms of spy style, but you gotta remember, this is where Dampsquib said, I want to play 4 games. So that's always scary when you lose the first against someone who has indicated, hey, I'm confident about this venue.
Well, this seems like a common theme, stepping into the center conversation for a mid-range flirt. Green test for 40%. Last game it was 41.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good start, but just, you got to know where you're going from here. Lazybear very clearly looking at the bar, looking who's taking, seeing that red dress is going to get, a fingerprint here, I have to imagine. We're stepping into the windows. This might be a quick time ad, yeah. White time ad here for Lazybear, just adding more pressure to the sniper as long as it's not caught.
Definitely was on screen as he came away from that, but you can never tell exactly where the sniper's eyes are on this venue. 60% after a distant second flirt. In conversation with the double agent, but I think probably conversations are just a tad too sparse.
Yeah, not really what you want to do right here, especially for Lazybear, who probably knows, like we see people at books, we see people getting highlights, we see people at statues. That's mission progress that you would be knocking out actively, which is, when you have some people out of conversation, it's a lot easier to go, okay, I can sacrifice these. When you have people out of conversation and they're currently at mission sites, that feels a lot worse because you're like, these are people who very well could be taking up a lot of attention right now.
Yeah. White test on the third flirt brings up to 79%. This is basically cross-conversation, but we're now at a point where we can safely step away from this conversation, get back in with the selection target later in the venue, and be guaranteed to get it done on a white flirt.
Oh, the ambassador steps in next to us. This feels like we could have taken a free bug already.
Out of this, but it's being watched very closely after a moment. Does take the bug on the way out.
That is nicely done, but we are going to pick up a highlight for it.
That's the first mission completion as well, which if that was like second or third, I feel like we'd have a decent shot at this, but with that being first mission completion, this is going to be very hard to get away with, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we very well could. Like, Lazybear is, again, good at watching the party, good at knowing who to send for this, right? I think had Red Dress not just walked away, we would have settled next to her, done a contact, and then sent her to bar, and that would have been kind of our method of completion here. One more flirt, contact, all of that good stuff. Instead, unfortunately, we are surrounded by other people who are not really as big suspects, and the double agent has left the conversation, which makes things so much more difficult.
Yeah, the whole party just sort of fell away from Lazybear there. He's not in a great position already, but that's a tough break.
Yeah, unfortunate. And despite having this bug, it does not feel like we're in a very good position going forward in this game. It looked like Lazybear finally steps in next to Red Dress. I think that is exactly correct. We wanted to, we're finishing the flirt, of course, but we wanted to send Red Dress. Of course, now that timer's expired. But instead, Double Agent does rejoin us here.
Banana bread.
Contact comes off. Split. It's the second time we've seen Lazybear doing a late game split, but it might be worse this time because we're so much more of a suspect. Is this going to be a swap? I don't think
contact
we get away with this.
Done.
Oh, I just don't think that this is going to work out if we go for a swap here. And I think Lazybear kind of knows it's a white test. It's on screen. The shot does come off.
Yeah, I think Dampsquib was very much on top of that.
Yeah, just from being able to intuit that bug happening from Lazybear's side, Lazybear does execute this bug quite well. Like with the walkaway. It's not something that is visible, but it is something that you can absolutely credit. It is a bit spy-like. I think if Lazybear had managed to find the bug on the ambassador's way in, this would have been a lot different of a game, because there was a moment there where the ambassador did come in close enough for, I believe, a walking bug to work. Now we are standing, but while we trigger it, the ambassador would be the one walking, which means it has the range of a walking bug. I do think that would have been close enough, and Dampsquib was not quite looking at it in time to be able to see that. So if Lazybear had just been a little bit more like ready to just hit that right click, hit that bug, I think this game could have gone a lot differently. Unfortunately, in this case, Dampsquib just all over it, and no one else is doing anything in this end game that could draw attention away from our swap.
Agreed. Dampsquib up 6-4, the current scoreline. Lazybear back on the sniper side to try to start clawing this back in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, Lazybear has been down. The second time Lazybear has been down so far in this match, and that doesn't mean that Lazybear can't. I guess what it means is we've seen Lazybear come back once. It can happen again.
So early time ad, white test on the flirt for 34%. Dampsquib now has plenty of time to work. This is going to be interesting to see how he uses these extra seconds.
Yeah, default Smallman highlight from Lazybear. This is something that I do believe Lazybear likes to do, is just find Smallman, highlight Smallman. You don't want to forget that Smallman's in the party.
Out to briefcase early on. So that's a print very near the top of the party.
Mm-hmm. Fingerprint taken, briefcase returned. There was some reason to put down that briefcase and see if we can just get away with it. On the other hand, though, doing a full return of the briefcase, I will note, does add more fingerprints to the party. right? If you put it down, it does not add any fingerprints. Whereas if you return it to the ambassador is just going to put it down again, and then AI can start to get more prints, which does
Very
give
true.
you a little bit more breathing room, because if you're not the only one with prints, your prints look a lot less suspicious. You can find prints later on much easier.
Banana
It's
bread.
a lot of good things. Contact comes off, and unfortunately, we are the only real conversation despite it being an SDA.
Yeah, double agent stepped away pretty much right as we hit that right click. So, not the fake contact Dampsquib wanted, unfortunately, but
I would
what's
still argue
done
this
is
is
done.
kind of fine.
As we head back out to the seduction target to pick up a second flirt. We'll see if we can hit the green test on this. That would be useful. But we don't, so we're just going to have to be cognizant of positioning when we go in for the third. It's 68%.
I think I'm pretty okay with Dampsquib's slot right now with the clean green time ad, and the fact that we do have like even though we have 0 missions, we have that one print, we have 68% flirt. That does give us some options going forward, and it doesn't seem like we're that big of a suspect right this second in the party, even though like we did have that, like the contact really is the one thing bringing down this game, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like we're not following our ST. Instead, we're going into books that are also statues.
Interesting. So we might just be here for inspects. We might be here to try to get a green
We're kind
microfilm
of behind trees, right? There's also a print on this book.
There was print
There's
here.
a lot
I didn't realize
here.
There was a print here. That's a huge mission site, actually.
We're not being perceived, I think, all that much at, like, the attention's not on us at this statue. Like, we've been on screen, but we haven't really been watched as being at this statue set. I think we might pick up a highlight for it afterwards. Like, Lazybear just had other things that needed to be actively watched. But there is I would say a good chance Lazybear didn't even really perceive us to be at those books, which would be absolutely massive if that were the case.
Here's the real contact coming off.
Banana bread.
Gonna let off.
Rocker was in the middle of taking briefcase while that happened,
but was behind trees, so like that's not guaranteed to be something that was like seen by Lazybear. And as you can see, Rocker not getting a low light here. So one more flirt out to statues could just be the soft tail finish of our dreams, especially if we were not perceived at those first set of statues.
Yeah, this is one of the cleaner looking soft tail games I've seen in a little while. Dampsquib does get the flirt.
Well, we need to go. We can't be waiting. Oh, but people are at statues. We have to go into the inside. It's not going to be that close. It might even be a slight amount of overtime at this point. I think Dampsquib can get there in time. The shot comes off anyways.
The shot comes off. Rocker takes a bullet.
I'm wondering why. Is there a print here for Rocker that like? I'm really not sure why she gets this bullet right here. She gets a print. She takes out the book. She goes to the window pad, and there's nothing in the last 10 seconds that she could have possibly done. I don't think that could have been a mission. Oh, maybe no. It could have been. I think. Oh, this is for a potential last second bug. Never mind. She definitely could have bugged on the way past the ambassador there, and that is why we see the shot from Lazybear. Unfortunately, and everything seems to be crumbling for Lazybear here. Was down a little bit early, came back on gallery and with some nice plays, but the Redwoods pick from Dampsquib is working to perfection.
Yeah, Dampsquib is just playing some really fantastic SpyParty on this venue and has one more game of SpyParty to play here. Lazybear on the Spy side versus Dampsquib Sniper. Last game of Redwoods in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Am I correct in saying that it is currently 7-4 in Dampsquib's favor? Oh, wow. Double time ad.
Correct. Perhaps I said the wrong thing again. My apologies.
Early time ad. I don't think you said. I was just trying to catch up myself on where the scoreline laid. And double time ad, the old school version of like it's the pwn noob like theory of time adding. If you can get away with 1, you can get away with 2. And Lazybear does go for that. It goes for a very long clock. Unfortunately, it was one of them was white, which means that well, it's a little bit more noticeable from Dampsquib's side. Like Dampsquib actually, if Dampsquib looks up the clock, Dampsquib will know that there were 2 time adds because right now the time is above the starting time and the clock is slow. So both of those things have happened.
Seduction target unfortunately steps away as we attempt to flirt with them.
Tobo,
so
we have infinite time. It doesn't matter.
We've got the time to work with. Looks like we're going to try to pick up this flirt where we left off, though at a bit more of a distance this time. Not quite fully cross conversation, but pretty close to. This is a very long distance flirt. Also in with the double agent here, so we've got options. It's a pretty good pad for us. But the freaking seduction target steps away again.
Pretty early contact here from Lazybear. It does let off just 2 lowlights, if I'm not mistaken. Which is pretty good. We get the contact, of course. Yeah, unfortunately, one of them is Smallman, which is our ST, which we know has to be a suspect in the party. And it being Smallman kind of sucks a little bit, but like, it's not that bad, especially when you can take as good of a contact as that one this early on in the game.
Looks like we're eyeing up the ambassador a little bit, trying to figure out where they're going to go.
This party's not doing much.
It's really not.
And that could be problematic for Lazybear, and it makes me real glad that we have those time adds, because imagine, Tobo, if you will, that we had 1 minute and 15 left on this clock right now.
I know. Yeah, the only character that won't stop walking around is the seduction target.
Yep, and who is currently out.
Back in a bad position for the flirt, so it's 20% off of the white test there. Again, not fully cross conversation, but pretty dang long range.
This just hurts. Like, if you're the spy here, like, you were like, I did 2 time adds, you know, I had a bunch of time on the clock, and I've burned it all away because this party is just not moving. And it is so hard when the party is not moving to do anything, because whatever you do is going to be so much more easy to, like, think about for the sniper, so you're more likely to just lose because the sniper is paying attention to you. Whereas if you just stand still and the party sits here for a long time at the, you know, with you, then no one's getting anything done. Like, and you're just burning time. It's real unfortunate here for Lazybear just how long this party has been.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it hurts.
That's a bug on the way through.
Oh, we tried for the double walking bug. It doesn't quite take.
Did get a timer flirt up to 50% off of the green test on the second, so.
Yeah, if we had gotten that bug, if we had landed it, this game would suddenly look so much better. Unfortunately, we did not. Highlight onto us for the statue visit.
Yeah. That bug was our chance back into this game, and we weren't quite able to hit it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
minute and 10 seconds to play as we step into the bar. This is not looking good.
Yeah, and we're deep into, like, the time ad territory now. You know, this game would have been over 30 seconds ago. Had we not had those 2 time ads. We take a cheese delegate, which took a little bit longer than you would have expected. We're next to Smallman now. We can't be sending to Smallman, though.
Does not hit the green test. It's 84%
That's devastating.
On the flirt, 45 seconds to play.
That is devastating for Lazybear, unfortunately. And both people we could possibly send right now are lowlights. We have to send someone, I think. We go, we send, we go out, and we try to get these last couple inspects, but it just doesn't feel like there's enough going on. Maybe the fact that we send a lowlight, though, could be our boon. Nope, never mind. I lied.
Yeah, we just could not find ways to get progress in that game.
Yeah, and again, it really comes down to the party didn't do anything for basically the duration of that game. The people who were doing the most were a lot of lowlights, and yeah, a couple, you know, a little bit started happening later on in the game, but that's when we had to do a bunch of stuff as well, and we had to do more than all of the other guests combined, which just gets a shot, and it's, oh, yeah, you have to feel for Lazybear on that one. I don't think that, like, this felt like one of those games as the spy, we were like, what do I even do? How do I even win this game? Because if the party's not doing something, like, against a good enough sniper, if the party's not giving you enough cover, you just can't make things work. Yeah. But that means Dampsquib swept the entirety of Redwoods. The power of this multiplication pick in from Dampsquib just exerted fully, and that is 8-4, and
8 to
Dampsquib has
4,
secured at
and
least
that
a draw.
means, yeah, that means we are into match points at this point. Lazybear has to win all 4 of the next games in order to eke out a single point. Dampsquib on 8 needs 1 of the next 4, starting at Tayen from the Spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, that's so brutal. And if you're Lazybear, you're in a rough spot here. Having to win 4 games in a row just to draw is never what you want to. It's never the place you want to be. Immediate white purloin
from the back of the party. It was a white test, so
the thing is, in this instance, it kind of might have been better as a white test, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes the sniper isn't paying attention to this early purloin unless there's a chain associated with it. But we do start to see some lowlights come off. We will probably pick up a highlight here in a moment, if I had to guess, for the fact that we're holding a drink alone.
We also got 51% off the first flirt and should be finishing the cooldown at any moment here. So we can absolutely get this flirt done in 2. This is a hell of a start from Dampsquib.
Yeah, I mean, just under half the party is a low light, though, is something that is a problem. We do finish off the flirt, though. I almost want to see, like, going into center statues and inspect swapping. I feel like that might be a little bit too aggressive. That might be a little bit too optimistic. But I think it would be fun.
Especially given I agree that it would be fun, yeah.
Especially
we'll see
given
what Dampsquib decides to do with this. I will note that they did have an interesting opportunity early in the party that they decided not to take for some proper shenaniganry. So what they have done is certainly working out for them, but there was an opportunity after that purloin to maybe get the list back on the trade before Lazybear noticed.
I like where your head's at, Tobo. If you gulp and just return that list, it's time of chaos. Sniper's watching a lot of different things, and you're in the back of the venue. That definitely could have worked. that would have been some delightful shenaniganry, but it is always a risk to be doing that.
Dampsquib has slowed all the way down here, though. Hasn't really moved from this spot since they took that guest list.
I wonder if they're more worried about this white purloin than like they should be, right? Because if we always like to say white purloin equals death a lot of the time, because oftentimes that is the case. You white purloin and then the sniper just sees, oh, it's a white purloin, and shoots you, right? Whereas like in this instance, Dampsquib really hasn't been super hard gotten for this purloin, but is playing as if they might be one of the top suspects.
It's hard to know that from the spy side, but I think you're absolutely right.
Double agent joins, but I think we have to wait. There's 2 people who have been to center statues that were not yet lowlights, and there's a little bit of laser shake there from Lazybear as this, as these lowlights are taken. I think that is a shake of relief. Like, oh my goodness, these 2 people, the purloin's gone. These people have been to center statues. I was really worried about having to shoot one of those. It's bug finally, but it's not taking. It's going for it again on the walkthrough.
Trash bug afterwards, and that absolutely gets caught. Unfortunately, a briefcase return that stopped right behind us redirects the ambassador around and out of range of the first bug, makes us have to panic and take a second, and that is not going to get by Lazybear.
Yeah, I mean, neither bug was actually visible, like, from an arm perspective, but Lazybear was being very, very attentive to, the animation stop. Like, we were in the middle of our idle animation when we took this bug, which means that, our head will do a little bit of change. Like there's going to be a little bit of reset on our, the top of Irish's body here when she initiates that bug. And Lazybear was being very, very attentive to that, so was able to, see, okay, this is a bug, I can shoot for that. Very nicely done from Lazybear. I think maybe a little bit of a hasty contact from Dampsquib. Maybe you should have been more aware of the party and being like, okay, these 2 people who have gone to center statues are not currently in conversation. I need to wait for that. Is what I think needed to be aware there because, like, again, that shake of the laser from Lazybear after that contact felt a lot like relief.
1 down, 3 to go as Lazybear steps into the spy side against Dampsquib Sniper on Tayen in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I don't want to undersell that Lazybear's still in a rough spot here, having to win 2 spy games in a row against someone who has been showing pretty good, pretty strong times on the sniper, especially since the last venue is the library. That's going to be even harder, even if Lazybear gets past Tayen here.
Bit of an awkward start the way the party's laid out at the moment. Not a ton of traffic in these middle conversations like you'd normally want to see. Double Agent is not in our conversation. Seduction target nowhere to be found. Oh, we're just going to take the Purloin early on the green test. I think there is a small chain already.
Yeah. Oh, and another chain, like, this chain's actually growing pretty long. If there was a small chain before it, we have us and Duke after us, and if there was a chain before it, that means that this is at least 3 or 4 people long. That's going to be really brutal for Dampsquib when it comes off.
There's the take. It's behind Soji.
It's behind
no
Shoji.
fade
It's visible.
Does see that the list is gone, I think.
We went into blue books maybe as an indication that we're trying to get out of the chain here. We'll see how well Dampsquib has this tracked.
Seduction target joins us cross conversation. 22% on the white flirt from that.
Yeah, Smallman's still a highlight. I think Smallman might have been in the chain. Dampsquib doesn't appear to have a good lock on this. We're not a highlight. There's not been more than just the one low light so far, which means that this mission is,
banana bread.
As always,
fake contact in with the suspected double agent. So basically everyone at the party has reels. That's one low light happened from it, which is not.
But it's not ours. Is the problem? Like, this is always the issue. It's such a good contact to take. Oh, we really could.
Hello, Ambassador. You just have to take that. I think doesn't take the bug.
I think that's another one where Lazybear has to be ready to right-click as the Ambassador joins, like on Redwoods. This is fingerprintable though. This might be why we didn't take it, because we wanted
timer is starting to become an
issue. It's fingerprintable, but Lazybear doesn't take the fingerprint.
Doesn't take the print. Minute and 10 to play. We've got the Purloin. We've got one flirt.
That's a conversation positioning.
One inspect. This is getting away from Lazybear.
Green test on the second flirt, which means you only need one more, but there's only 1 minute left in this game, and not knowing there was a fingerprint there, that means that our statue visit just doesn't. Oh, again, we don't have real contact actually. This is getting, as you said, getting away from Lazybear.
No time ad. 40 seconds. How do we finish this?
I don't know. We go for a bug on the way in. We talk to break off the animation. Dampsquib feels like it's a bug and takes the correct shot. Dampsquib with a pretty good scoreline over Lazybear here, 9-5.
It wasn't a terrible bug, but it's just too bold of an entry. I don't think any AI is going to try to slip in there, especially not as deep as they did. Dampsquib, after a pretty neck-and-neck start, absolutely ran away with that set on Redwoods. Redwoods really was the decider in that.
Yeah, very well drafted, I will say, from Dampsquib, and I will again not to minimize how well Dampsquib was playing throughout that. Just had some really, really nice spy games where Lazybear just did not seem to be on top of it. But really, that Redwoods pick was a master stroke, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well played from both players. It was a joy to watch, but that is going to do it for us tonight. There's going to be plenty more next week, so stay tuned. If this is your first time here, this game is called SpyParty. You can get it on Steam or at SpyParty.com for $25. I recommend getting it from the website because you get a Steam key anyways, and the creator gets a little bit more of your money that way. If you've been around for a little while but are interested in trying to get into the competitive side of the game, please visit discord.gg/SpyParty. There's always stuff going on there, and there's plenty of great folks to help you on your way. I hope you had a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching, and good night.